homegirl Anja, and because love is in the air, I decided I should feature one of my favorite couples. They are just the cutest. So please help me welcome my homegirl Lo and her husband Shawn. Hey guys!
Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
hi.
All right, so
Hey.
let's get into this because, anybody who knows them knows just how much love they have for the world and each other. So, first of all, can you guys introduce yourself? Like, who are you as individuals? Like, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having us. My name is Lo. We are both from Connecticut and we came to Maryland in 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. We're both really into fitness. We're both pretty social. I'm a therapist, a mental health therapist, and I work in Baltimore. And what about you, Shawn?
Yes, I'm Sean. Like she said, from Connecticut, met there, moved here recently. I work as a software engineer, but hobbies include like working out, running, doing a lot of that.
And he's in the Army, the Army
Yeah.
Guard.
Important part.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so let's talk about how you met. So, who saw who first? How did that go?
So we actually met on not online on a dating app called OkCupid. I don't know if it exists anymore.
Oh,
It doesn't?
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it still does.
okay,
Right.
but I don't think anyone uses that anymore. But that's the dating app we met on back in 2014. So we both swiped right and he messaged me first, as they should.
Mm.
And yeah, that's how it all started.
So why did you agree to meet him? Because obviously a lot of people were probably trying to talk to you, because especially with online dating, I feel like you're getting constantly like swiped and whatever. So like, why yes to Shawn?
I think I liked his profile. It was pretty simple and I liked everything that was on it. I was more interested in like learning more about him. I think we had some stuff in common in terms of like both being in the military. I was in the Air National Guard at the time, so we had that in common. And at that time, I was kind of just like, yeah, I'll go on dates. I wasn't
So
looking for anything serious at the time, but
you
he was.
were? You were
No,
just on the app, just like trying to figure it out?
have fun.
Yeah.
But because had just gotten out of like my first long-term relationship and I was just like, okay, I don't want anything serious. I just want to date and have fun and meet people. But Shawn was like, no, I'm looking for something serious.
And you were like, oh, okay.
So
Shawn, what about her did you like when you saw her online? What was it that you were like, this one I need to talk to?
No, yeah, that's a good question. So I mean, I think with any dating app, right, even if it's for friends, um, I guess as humans we have a thing to go, based on looks, right? That kind of catches your attention first. I think things that transition into more, that's kind of like the first thing. I mean, so of course she was, very, very attractive, very pretty. Read her profile, she seemed pretty cool. Just kind of tossed the message out. And she responded pretty quickly. So I think that was also like a positive indicator, right? And yeah, I think I know Lorena says or that I was looking for someone serious. I wouldn't say that's what I was kind of putting out there immediately. I think, I was looking for like a relationship, but I think it worked out the way it did. But yeah, that's kind of how it went in the beginning.
yeah, it was all
Okay,
pretty.
so where did you guys go? Did you like big fancy dinner? Did you just go on like a smoothie run? Like, what was that first date?
Do you want to tell or should I about Duncan?
No, yeah. So I guess, we wanted to meet pretty soon. Our schedules weren't really lining up, you know, for the next few weeks, it seemed like. And I happened to work pretty close to where she lived. Um, so on my lunch break, we met up at a Dunkin' Donuts. In the parking lot though, and went on a walk. So we didn't actually go inside Dunkin' Donuts. We just went on a walk together.
Yeah, we just went on a walk. That was like our first time meeting because like
I
he said,
love that.
he was busy with work, I was busy with work and school, and we had been talking for maybe what, like a couple weeks, 2 3
Yeah,
weeks.
I think so.
And we were talking on the phone a lot, like every day, every night. But we were like, when can we meet? When can we meet? And like he said, he worked right down the road from where I was living. So he actually met me during his lunch break. And that was our first time meeting each other. We just went on like a 10 to 15 minute walk. And then he was like, all right, I gotta go back to work. And I was like, okay, see you later.
Okay, Shawn, this question is for you. So I know there is way too many women out here that just want breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So how did you avoid taking her to Dunkin' parking lot? Is that how you avoid making sure she just didn't want to talk to you for some food?
No,
Was that
that's
your plan all along?
no, that's funny. I think because, I think it's important um in online dating, right? To like maybe meet soon. I think even online friendships, like with Bumble BFF, apps like that, it's good to meet soon. I think you start to lose interest otherwise, or maybe there's not as many things to talk about. I mean, I think it can be pretty superficial just through like a web interface, something like that. So I think the big thing was like, hey, let's meet up. Let's say, hey, make sure we're real people. But pretty soon after, we did do something a little more. I mean, wasn't necessarily a full meal yet. We did go get frozen yogurt at a local place, so that is a
Love
step up.
that.
Yeah, I think
We started slow with the dating.
mhm.
No, I actually really love that because I think when I'm like talking to my other friends about it, I'm like, listen, if anybody can't just meet up with you and just talk, I feel like that's to me a problem because like that's what it's all about is getting to know people, not your $100 steak or whatever you're trying to eat, right?
Yeah.
And actually, at the time, I was vegan. So that, like, I feel like that was probably kind of hard to figure out. Like, he was like, where do I even take a vegan? Well, actually, I was vegetarian,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, like, a month later, I became vegan. So he's like, oh gosh, now I gotta deal with a vegan.
Problems on problems. Okay, so when did you guys make it official? When are you guys like, okay, so I really like you, like let's be boyfriend and girlfriend.
Was it like what, a month in
It,
or
it
a
was
couple months?
it was a couple months, I'd say.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty, I felt like it was pretty soon. But he asked me at the movies. We went to, I don't remember if it was dinner and a movie or just a movie, and he got me like a pair of earrings and he gave me the gift and he was like, will you be my girlfriend? And at that time, I still didn't really want to be in a relationship, but I was like, I like him, so I'll just say yes. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll just break up with him. And
That's
we
right.
were together ever since.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty cute. Okay, so how did we get from cute little boyfriend girlfriend all the way down the aisle? Like how did you know you wanted to switch relationships and take it up a notch and be like locked in forever?
You want to talk about me moving in?
Yeah. So we were going steady, as the kids say, right? And
I don't think anyone says that. That's old
oh
school.
yeah. Um and it was going well. I had recently moved out into my own place. It was kind of far though. It was about an hour from where Lorena lived. Um, but she started grad school pretty close to where I live, but it was still kind of far from her, and she was commuting. Um, and I just kind of threw out the idea like, hey, like you're coming up to visit me pretty often. It's a pretty far drive. Like you go to school pretty close to where I live. Maybe it'd be easier if you like stayed here, sometimes during the week to kind of save on that commute. So she started doing that, and then it kind of transitioned to like, hey, if you want to move in, I think that'd be good, and you can focus on school, maybe get out of your parents' place. I think the timing was quick, but I think it worked out as far as our day to day. I think it just worked better. Um, yeah, and with that, of course, it was tough. I think moving in with anyone, whether it be a girlfriend, boyfriend, or just a friend or stranger, can be tricky.
Yeah, it was a really big transition for the both of us because well, I personally had never lived with anybody besides my parents. So I went straight from like living with my parents. I lived at home for undergrad. I commuted because it was a really close school to where I was living. And I know Sean lived with roommates when he was in college, but other than that, so it was a pretty big transition for the both of us. So we definitely had our ups and downs and learning how to live with one another and learning each other's quirks. But I think both of us wanted to live with one another before getting married. Like we wanted to know that we would still be compatible while we were living under the same roof.
How did you get over your little quirks and little things that may have been a little annoying? Like, how did you guys get over that hump? Because I'm sure that is challenging with, well, living with anybody can be
I mean,
challenging, like
at
you
first,
said.
we definitely had fights. I mean, we were still young. I was 22 when we met, and he was 24. And I moved in within a year of meeting each other, right? Or a year, a little bit over a year.
Yeah, it was probably just under a year. I was actually 23, but I just turned 24. So there's only a year difference there.
There's two because you graduated 2 years.
Well, sure. But yeah, I guess that is pretty soon. Depending on how you look at it, a year, isn't a lot of time. But then, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and like talking to like our friends and getting advice from people that were already married or had been living with their partner, significant other, and then just communication, trying to communicate. Like, we would have those arguments and then we'd come together and say, like, okay, how can we meet halfway? How can we compromise? How can we make this work? And then, we would try that. And then if it didn't work, we would revisit the conversation and see what we could do going forward.
I love that. Okay, listen, I need the nitty gritty. Who said I love you first?
hmm, it was me.
It was you? You already knew?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think things were going really well. And I kind of knew, so I kind of threw it out there. Um, yeah, and
Were you
it was,
nervous she wasn't going to say it back?
I mean, I think so. I think if you weren't nervous, that'd be kind of weird. Not bad weird, just different. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're made differently if you're not nervous.
yeah, but like it was brought back like soon after. There wasn't like a large gap in that. I think.
I didn't say it back right away though.
Oh,
Like not
how long
in
did you wait?
probably a month or less.
A month? Really?
Yeah.
I'd say
Or
less.
less.
I
Honestly, I can't remember, but I'm
It
just
was just not right away. It was just not like, okay, I love you too.
yeah.
it definitely helped because I was actually the one to cook first, right? I made multiple meals. I've introduced her to a few dishes she never ate really growing up. So I think that helps speed up her feelings. So
Yeah, I was like, okay, he's cooking for me. Okay, I love you now.
Winning.
Need to see, okay, you love me, show it. Cook for me.
Yes.
but it was really like the mac and cheese and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches I made.
Yeah.
That was
We ate a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches
yeah.
in the beginning, but he did make me a really good baked mac and cheese before I was vegan, and I ate like half the tray and then I couldn't walk. Like I literally was hunched over, like, oh my god.
How important would you say like your hobbies being the same is important?
Um, I I would say it goes either way. I think it's cool if you can share similar hobbies, but I also think it's important to have your own things at times. Not to say, space is good or bad, but I think having some kind of separation, like, hey, I'm gonna go do this, particular thing. And then the other individual can say, I'm gonna go do this, focus on that. And then it also keeps things interesting. I think if we were like the same person, it would get boring, right? But if you have different interests, different hobbies, it just
Yeah.
brings more to talk about or just like a, I don't know,
Yeah.
keep things in like different.
I think like the fitness aspect is important because that's more of like a lifestyle for us. So we both
Yeah.
like to be active, we like to be healthy, you know, both physically and mentally. So I think for me, I see more of that as like a lifestyle over a hobby, but because our hobbies are different. Like he does like video games and what's that one you just got with like the AI stuff or what's it called? The goggles.
Oh, virtual reality.
Like virtual
Uh,
reality. Like I am
yeah.
not, and I don't do any video games. Like, and he likes to snowboard. I don't do any like snow sports. I really like audiobooks and podcasts and reading, and he's into some of that too, but like different kinds. So we still have pretty different hobbies, but in terms of like being physically active, that's really important to both of us.
Did you guys have to have a discussion because you guys do a great job of like being individuals but also being together? So did you guys have to like have those conversations like I still want to be me
Yeah.
within this relationship, or did it just kind of happen for you guys?
I think it just happened because we're both pretty independent. I mean, I think I don't know, I feel like you're more independent than I am. Or
Um,
I think it changes depending like on what it is. Like, I think we learned early to be okay being apart because he went away for the army a lot. So even like when we were first living together, he had to go away for like a month or two. And that was hard on me because I never lived by myself. So I was like kind of scared of being in a place by myself, like sleeping alone. Like he was like my caregiver kind of. Um,
Yeah.
like because I went from my parents to him. So I was like, okay, my parents kept me safe. Now he keeps me safe. And then when he wasn't around, I was like, oh no, someone
What do
needs to
I do?
get me. And I'm like 2023, but I'm like, it's really scary being alone. But eventually I just got used to it. So I think that kind of like forced us in a way to be okay being apart. So now when we are, it's like not that big of a deal. Like if we're apart for like a week or a month, yeah, of course we miss each other and it's like really exciting to see each other again, but we're not like struggling really.
Yeah. So, how do you deal with the pressures of society and like social media telling you how your relationship should be and what you should be doing with like your life? Or like, how do you deal with like people? I know you guys are fur parents. So, the pressures of anybody being like, well, why don't you have kids yet? You've been married for years, or like anything else that society throws at you, or you're too young to be married. Like, how do you deal with that?
yeah, I guess like I've always kind of been like this. Like I don't really put too much thought into what others' opinions are, maybe. I think also as far as social media goes, maybe my feed is curated differently. I don't really get those relationship things ever, or I guess mine is, yeah.
He's
Very,
not like big on social media.
yeah, that
So
that too.
he has like Instagram, but it's like car stuff or workout stuff. So he doesn't really see any of that. But like, what about like with your mom or our
Well,
parents?
sure. I think our parents and like many parents, they would like to see, grandchildren. But at the same time, like my mom has, two grandsons through my sister. Lorena's parents have a grandson. They have a couple other grandchildren. I think so that kind of takes some of the pressure off. I think if we were only children, or, if our parents were really big on us having kids, I mean, I think even now, of course, they'd like to see it, but we're pretty firm on our position. As of now, I'm not going to say like this is how it is forever. I think
Yeah.
things can always change, but from what I see and what we've talked about, we're like, this is kind of where we stand. This is like the lifestyle we like. I think having kids at this point in time would change our lifestyle to a point
Oh
where
yeah,
we wouldn't
drastically.
um, be too fond of it. And I think that's important to know. I know a lot of people, they want kids and that's great and they would enjoy having kids and that's good.
Mhm.
But I think if you're unsure or you kind of know you wouldn't, it's probably better not to do it,
If you're not like 100% gung ho, like yes, I don't think you should definitely should never do something just because somebody, most everybody is doing it but I mean, we do get the feeling sometimes of like, oh, like it'd be nice to bring our kid to their soccer game, or when we see like the highlight reel of parenthood, but then
Highlight reel.
yeah,
Yes.
but that's how it is for everyone. I mean, like, everybody puts out their best on social media usually, so we try to keep that in mind. That at the end of the day, it's like we're the ones that have to live with the decision that we're making.
Mhm.
But thankfully,
Absolutely.
our family is pretty supportive. Like in the beginning, I think they asked and talked about it more, but since we've stayed consistent with our answer, they're kind of like getting, I think, tired of bugging us about it.
Yeah. So you brought up your lifestyle, and I love how you guys live your life. So let's get into this travel that you guys be doing. These dates from Duncan all the way to like traveling like everywhere. So how do you plan your favorite travel? Like, what's your favorite trip actually? Let's get into that. Favorite trip you guys took together?
For both of us is Turks, right?
Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, Turks and Caicos is definitely our favorite because it was our first biggest trip, right? Like our first big trip,
I think
right?
so. I mean, we done other big trips, I guess, in different capacities. I think this was like solely like a leisure trip, we've been to Chile together, but that was a lot of family time. That was a pretty long trip, but I think Turks and Caicos because we knew we're gonna stay at like a nice resort, we're gonna be on the beach. Yeah, that kind of has its special place for that.
Yeah, I think that was a special trip because it was our first, like, just us two spending quality time together, just relaxing. Because a lot of our trips are very active, because we like to see where we're going, not just like sit at a beach. So anytime
Absolutely.
we go anywhere, I'm like itinerary, like we're like very tired by the end because I like to do and see a lot. But I
Yeah.
think that's the only one where we like relaxed a little bit on like actually doing really active things. We really just relaxed.
I love that. So, what words of wisdom do you have for people who are online dating and stressed out or just like over men or like whatever? I know you're a mental health therapist and you see a lot of couples. So, like, what kind of advice from your own relationship or your job that you would give people?
Do you want to start or want me to start?
I think you're good on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like the pillars of a relationship are respect, healthy communication when it's not like hurting each other on purpose, trust, obviously, like those big things. I think if you don't have that down, it's really hard to grow and build on that. So that's kind of like the base. And then once your relationship grows, those are like, the branches and the leaves on the tree. Um, but that comes a lot from like your upbringing and then what you decide to learn. So I think like self-reflection, self-care, learning self-love is really important because if we're not loving ourselves, we can't love our partner correctly or in the healthiest way. So I think
Yes.
when people are looking for relationships or to get into a relationship, I like to start with just the self. Like, how are you doing? How do you feel about yourself? Um, do you know what your goals and dreams are in life? Do you feel stable? And talking about the things that are uncomfortable sometimes, like finances and things that, people sometimes ignore, but then it comes up and it creates problems in the long run. So I think my biggest takeaway would be like make sure you love yourself and you're confident with yourself and you're not looking for a partner to fill some sort of hole or gap, because no one can fill that for you. Like that really has to come from inside yourself.
I think that's so important. And for you, like you are still pursuing your dream within a relationship. And I think a lot of people's dreams die when they like get involved with another person. So how do you like still maintain following your dreams and still loving your partner?
I think because like we respect one another and we respect each other's goals and dreams. So even if our like what we're currently working on, the other person's not working on it, we're still supporting each other. So Sean's been running marathons. I'm not running at all, but I'm still going to be supportive towards that, and like sometimes on his long run, also if the weather's nice, I'll be like, okay, I'll ride my bike and go with you. And he'll do the same for me. Like he's not lifting as much, but he'll still go to the gym to help me with my, like fitness goals, and he'll be there for me and support me. So we still like compromise and meeting each other halfway, even if our goals aren't exactly the same.
What about you, Shawn? Tell me one of your favorite dates that you planned out for you guys.
Favorite date? That's a good question. Let's see. Um, I guess, I mean, this might not be the top, but at the moment, kind of shooting from the hip. Um, so like our first like bigger, like large real date, we actually went and got Indian food together. Um, this was like pretty early on though. I think that was cool because it was like at the time our longest like time like together. Kind of doing something. It was also like a new experience for both of us. I actually never had Indian food up until that point.
Same.
Yep. So
That's
that's
really cool.
that'd be cool to try something new together. Again, it's nothing too crazy. I just think the new experience with a new person just kind of set like the pace, kind of yeah, that was
Do you remember I tripped?
yeah, I mean, I think that was also like
During the Indian food?
Yeah, this was like our first big date. Like, we did like the froyo and the wok. This was like a nice dinner. Like our
Yeah.
first date where we were like sitting and eating and like doing probably embarrassing things in front of each other for the first time. And I
Yeah.
tripped and I almost fell. I think going into it or leaving.
it was probably going into it, but it's all right. I think that kind of painted more to her personality and her style of life, because she is like uh more clumsy than I am, I guess, in the relationship, like, which is fine. I think it's cool.
Thanks.
Uh
It's cool to be
but
clumsy.
it definitely kind of foreshadowed like our time together. It's always cute when
He
she
makes
has her
fun of
little
me a lot because I drop everything and
her
I'm
little
always like,
accidents, mishaps. Yeah, so all part of it. But yeah,
Well, I really love those simplistic moments in your relationship because I think that like going to Dunkin' and walking in the parking lot and just experiencing new small things together. I think those are like the big things in life that really count. And I think you guys hit things on the nail. Like even your wedding, you kept that small, but your love is so big. And I think it's good to remind everybody that you don't need to like be out here flashing just for the sake of flashing, like whatever you and your partner are doing that you like love, even if it's like other people would perceive it as like a small moment. Like that's more important than anything, right?
yeah, definitely. Like we definitely prefer the more low key, like take out in a movie at home. Like I much prefer that over like having to get dressed up to go to like some fancy dinner. So I think both that we really connect in that sense because we're both pretty similar with
yeah,
that.
and it also kind of contributes to the whole thing, I think, of making things last, is just to continue dating each other. I think that's a key, right? Like you can be with someone for like 10, 20 plus years, but if you kind of keep that spark going, like, you kind of have the surprise, like, hey, let's go do this fun thing, I know you like this, or kind of change it up. That yeah, I think that
Yeah.
is
Like
super helpful.
doing special things, even like he's still kind of courting me, and I'm still trying to impress him. Like, I'm like, did you like my meal? Like, I made this new thing. I hope you really liked it. Tell me if you liked it. If you didn't like it, please tell me. And like, he still opens the car door for me every single time. Like, he's never stopped doing that since we met. So
Hmm.
I think doing those special little things is really big.
Wait a minute. We're about to go, but I have another question. Did you guys have like a checklist? Like he needs to be this or she needs to be that? Like, did that happen? Like, were you guys filling each other's check boxes when you were looking online?
I don't think so. I think because for me, I was so laid back about it. I was not pressured at all. Like, I think I went on maybe like, I was dating like 3 guys before I met Shawn. and you're just going on dates with them. And I would be like, yeah, I don't like them, but I would still keep like going on dates. And then I'd be like, sorry, can we be friends? And they'd be like, no, I'm not looking for a friend. And then I'd be like, okay, bye. I have to be honest, I'm not gonna keep leading you on, but
Yeah.
no, so for me, I was just like, I just want to have fun. I want to meet people. So I didn't really have, I don't think I had a checklist, but I
What about you,
think,
Shawn? Did you have a checklist?
Well, no, I mean, maybe not like initially, but I think before you get married, like you kind of have your standards in a sense, right? My big thing is like, I probably couldn't marry someone who's really annoying. That's probably it.
well,
Yeah, I think that definitely was helpful. But yeah, I think just before getting married, you should probably know where you stand because that's important.
yeah, like knowing that, like we talked about the kid thing before getting married because that's pretty big. Like you don't want to get married
Huge.
to someone one person really wants to be a parent, the other one wants nothing to do with it. So we
Yeah.
definitely talked about that. And like I mentioned before, finances, like knowing what you're getting into with somebody, their habits. Yeah, but nothing really comes up. I think like the basics, like, can I trust him? Is he nice? Like, does he treat me with respect? Does my family like him? Things like that. But it kind of like happened organically. I didn't really think too much about it before.
And of course, there's a day to day. I think if you're a clean person, you probably want to be with another clean person. If you don't
Yeah, we're
like
both pretty tidy, like
pretty tidy, that helps. I think just
organized. Yeah.
if you don't like someone that whistles in public, and your partner whistles in public, like that would be a deal breaker for some. Um,
I don't like when people spit in public, so
right, yeah.
no spitters, please.
Yes.
I don't do camels, so it's the no for me. Yes.
Oh, no smoking. I would never like
It's a
marry.
lifestyle thing, though.
Yeah.
Right. So I think like before you get married, those are things that you start to consider, but you learn that over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, before we go, I just want to show you guys how much they love each other through pictures and images. So don't go anywhere. I told you they were so cute, right? Oh, how long have you guys been married?
Together since 2014, and we got married in 2018.
So
right?
this March will be 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I wish you guys many, many, many more years. All right, everybody, you've been watching Talk to Me Tuesday. Lo, do you have anything you want to plug? Anywhere they can like look you up, like what you have?
Yeah, so my friend and I started a podcast, a mental health / wellness podcast when the pandemic first started. So we have some episodes out. It's called Growthology Podcast, and it's on all your major podcast platforms, Spotify. What's the other one? iTunes, Apple Podcasts. So you can find us on their Growthology Podcast.
Thank you so much, you two. I'm going to put all her information down there so you can find her podcast. She has some really great content, so you want to check it out. Once again, you guys have been watching Talk to Me Tuesday. It's your girl, Anja. Thank you so much, Lo, Shawn. Love you guys so much. See you later. Bye, guys.